Hi, this is Daryl Welsh. Doing a recap of the event we had last night, which was our October group support session. We had a really good turnout. The room was almost full, and wanted to recap what we went over in that meeting for the folks that were not able to make it and share some of the things that are going on around the clinic. So one of the things we did was we started out with just a little bit of a funny, but for some of you, you might recognize this feeling. It's like, what were those days like when you were stepping on the scale before you started your weight loss journey? Was it something like this?
Right, here we go. Oh, feeling good. Hello, old friend. Meet again. All right, stop.
So we had posted that video just the other day to our Facebook page. I think we kind of all have that feeling of apprehension as we get on the scale, but when we were gaining our weight. Now, hopefully on your weight loss journey, don't have so much of an adversarial, relationship with that scale. But here are the topics that we went through in the meeting. Did some introductions, clinic housekeeping, talked about why we do the 3D scans and why they're so valuable. Went over a number of offerings that are going to be available now here in the clinic. And then we had open discussion, really great discussions back and forth between the patients, and I think everybody kind of left learning and feeling good about the event. So what we do is we go around the room and we just introduce ourselves, first name, how long we've been a patient, and what our favorite, I pick a different topic each month. This one was, what was the favorite TV show of all time. For me, I'm Daryl, for those that don't know. I've been a patient here since we opened, so about 6 months now. And my favorite TV show of all time, I had a really hard time deciding. It's either between MASH or Frasier. I really love both of those shows. But around the room, I had quite an eclectic mix. Everything from Law and Order, had a couple of those. Yellowstone, a more recent one. Matlock, it was a good variety. And so it was kind of interesting to see from different people what some of their favorites were. One of the first things we did as part of our clinic housekeeping was welcome Jennifer, our latest full-time employee to the clinic, and I will bring up her picture. Jennifer's not only a full-time employee here, she's my better half, but also she's been a patient. So going back to April, you can see her there on the left, and her most recent picture just a few days ago, she's lost just over 40 pounds. And so really proud of her, really happy to have her at the clinic. And so if you stop by and you see a new face, introduce yourself to Jennifer and let her know who you are. The next thing we talked about was making sure that people had signed up for MyBodySite. So MyBodySite is the supplemental service that we provide to all our patients that provide kind of the comprehensive wellness aspects of our program. A lot of that information on exercise, nutrition, sleep, relaxation, those things. And if you don't know what it looks like, I'm just going to pull it up real quick. Every single day for people who sign up for it, you get a set of information. It's an email that goes out to you. This is an example of day 11. This happens to be talking about relaxation, why it's important. And there'll be some tasks that, it encourages you to do, drink your water. But on some days there'll be, a video. It might be a YouTube video, a few minutes to watch. Sometimes it's a TED Talk. But in addition, every single day you'll get a set of recipes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on meals that go really well with the GLP medications, the semaglutide or the tirzepatide. As we said in the consultation, we're not suggesting you have to follow these recipes, but for some people, having a variety, having some, suggestions are very helpful. All of us get stuck in a rut. So seeing some of these examples, really gives people a variety. And we know that they work well with the medications, so we kind of recommend them. Now, if you did sign up or you haven't been getting one of these emails each day, give me a call or send me an email. I'll resend out the sign-up form for you so that you can get going. It's a really valuable service that we provide to all our patients, and if you're not taking advantage of it, we want to make sure that you can, because it's really helpful. The other thing that we talked about was our before and in-progress photos. I will be the first one to admit, Ayla was in the room. She raised her hand up as well. The first few months that we had the clinic going, we did a terrible job of making sure we got everybody's before pictures. So apologize on that. Really, it's bad on our part. But one of the things, since Jennifer started these last couple of weeks, she's done an amazing job of ensuring that every single person who signs up, we get a photo. And so if we didn't get a before picture of you, we'd like to at least get an in-progress photo so that we have, a benchmark to go against. One of the things that we do is two things. One is we want to be able to put together we have what we call the transformation wall, where we have people's before and current pictures, and we're seeing some amazing progress from a lot of our patients. But the other thing is, especially for in-progress photos, I'm going to show you an example here. This is Eileen. She agreed to do an in-progress photo. If you look down here, it says, "My name is Eileen. I've lost 40 pounds plus so far." At the time of this picture, it was actually 43 for her. And what we do is we share this photo on our Facebook page, as you can see here. We don't use people's last names, but as kind of a reward for allowing us to share your success, we provide people a 10-week supply of BioBoost. And BioBoost is that combination of the different B vitamins that like B12 and B6, B5 that give you extra energy, and a bunch of the amino acids that help further metabolize fat and flush it out of the body. And so our patients have been really enjoying that. The 10-week supply of BioBoost normally costs $114, but in exchange for allowing us to post your picture, we give one of those. And so the other thing that we've done with the before and after pictures is we put together a little video. This is an October update, and you can see some of the progress for some of our patients. We've all seen Ayla. She's done really amazingly well. Here's that photo of Eileen. We actually had her before and her after. I don't know who this guy is. And so next time you're in the clinic, pop by in that wall on the way to the back room, and you can see our wall of transformation. You see some of those patients, and we'd love to get your photos and get you on that wall as well, because real results are happening and real transformations. The other thing we talked about, we really encourage our patients to get their 3D scans, and I wanted to put together a little thing about talking about why the 3D scans are so important. For a lot of people, they only measure their progress with the scale, and the scale, I've mentioned it in a lot of the consults, can be evil. It's something that just gives you one measurement, and it doesn't give you kind of a full view of how you're doing, what your progress is. You might have gained some muscle because you're working out or walking a little bit more and lost some fat, and the scale says, nothing changed. And that can be pretty frustrating. And so here are some of my results. This is going back to the end of April to the end of August, so it's about 4 or 5 months. And I can see that physically my body has changed. One of the things that I find is I can look at this and see a definite change, but day to day when I stand and look in the mirror, because the changes are happening, slowly over time, I sometimes don't see that and don't really recognize I'm making as much progress as I actually am. I don't know if you have that experience. But one of the things that happened to me, if you can see on here, this light blue graph is showing my actual weight. And so, I was losing weight, and then I hit this time period from kind of the start of July to the end of August. I mean, that's almost 2 months. And in that time, I actually gained a pound. And talk about frustrating, being, just a human myself, wanting to lose weight, but also kind of being the director of the clinic, seeing my weight first stall for a bit, but then actually go up was really distressing. But as we dug in and looked through the data itself, what we realized was during that same time period, my body fat percentage, or actually the number of fat pounds that I was losing, had been going down. But what was happening at the same time, because I was working out, I was doing a lot more walking and a lot more strength training, my muscles from July to that end of August period had gone up. And actually my muscles went up a little bit more than the fat had gone down, which is why I gained a little. And so I don't have it on this slide, but I see it on my body scan report. If you're losing fat and you're gaining muscle and your weight's relatively staying the same, what happens is you start losing inches. And for me in this time period, I had to do two things. I had to start buying new shirts because I went from a double XL to an XL, but gone from a 42 to a 38. I actually dropped down 2 sizes. And so, if you're not getting your scans, please come in, do it. It's a service that we provide. We want our patients to lose weight the right way. We want to see the fat go down. We want to see the muscle, at least stay the same or go up. But it's another way for you to know that you're making progress besides just the scale. Now, one of the things that we also talked about in the meeting was some of the latest news in the GLP-1 world. For those that don't recognize, GLP-1 is kind of the overview name for both the semaglutide and the tirzepatide medications. And so one of the things that we do is on our website in the blog section, every single week we go out and we gather the latest research and news that's happened in the GLP-1 world. We take some of these 10, 15, sometimes 20-page long articles, and we condense them down into a summary that you can read in just a few minutes. And I just want to highlight a few that we posted in the last couple days. So this one was just 4 days ago, but there was an article that came out in Fortune magazine that talked about how semaglutide and tirzepatide may be one of the key medicines to help people, live longer. And, you can go through it. We provide all the links always to the original article so that you can see the full thing, but we try to give a kind of an abstract so that you can read it in just a couple minutes. The other thing to call out, and this has got a lot of news, I saw this plan came out about 2 weeks ago, was this research showing that these medications, semaglutide and tirzepatide, can reduce, alcohol opioid overdose risk by over half. They call it the OUD, opioid use disorder or alcohol use disorder. And so, there's a lot of benefits to being on this medication besides just losing weight that they seem to keep finding over and over and over every month. This one I found super fascinating. They're anticipating a 10 trillion, trillion calorie drop each year because of medications like semaglutide and tirzepatide. I found it just super fascinating that, when you go back to the 1960s, average calorie input for an adult in the US was about 2,800 calories. This year in 2024, it's gone up to 3,600 calories. And so people are just eating more and more and more on average. And they're projecting in the next 6 years that that's going to drop back down to 2,800. And that's mostly based on the number of people on these GLP-1 medications. And so when they add it up, it's trillions and trillions of calories going away. It's just fascinating. One of the other things was, because of the anti-inflammatory, benefits that are in these medicines, they're finding that even for brain health, these medicines are helping out. It gets a little bit, clinical in some of the discussions, and you can go into it, but it comes down to inflammation, reduction in inflammation, especially in the brain pathways. They call it neuroinflammation and protecting against neural damage. That really helps to improve people's cognitive abilities, their mental abilities, and improving their brain health. So another benefit to being on this medication. And I'll just end just with one or two more, but going back to, I think it was the 1960s or 70s, every single year until 2020, there was an increase in obesity rate in America. And in between 2020 and 2023, it actually came down. And so by 2 percentage points. And 2 percentage points isn't a lot, considering for almost 40 or 50 years it's been going up every single year. To have it come down is pretty remarkable. And the contributing factor, the thing that they're crediting with the obesity coming down in the country, are these medications. And so, you're part of a movement that is really trying to change the health outlook for everybody in the country. The one last two things I want to call out. One of the things I hear from a lot of our female patients is, they're frustrated that, it seems to be that whenever they're on a weight loss program, their husband or their male partner, loses weight faster than them or loses more. And this thing got published just this last month in Forbes, which was an article showing the research is showing that women, especially on tirzepatide, lose weight faster and actually lose more. If you look at the data here, it's women were losing up to 25% of their body weight compared to men only losing 18% on tirzepatide. So here's one where you ladies, can have the win. It's more effective for you than us men. So congratulations. And this last thing I'll just call out was an article that was just published yesterday. I haven't had a chance to summarize it. I just want to show, kind of what the top level research was. But, the researchers and doctors are saying that, up to 40,000 lives could be saved each year if we could get more people on these medications from all the different ways that they help out, especially in cardiovascular, preventing heart attacks, preventing strokes and things like that. And so just kind of fascinating that, this is out there and so many people are benefiting from it just beyond losing weight. And so, every week we publish new information on our blog site. If you're not taking a look at it, it is on our website, at the top. See our different sections. You just hit the blog section and it pulls up kind of the latest that's going on in that world, or some of the things that are happening around our clinic. One of the things that I do often is post my latest results. I'm a patient here. I want to be as transparent as I can with my progress, because it's not always, down and to the right as we would like it to be. Sometimes I have those stalls, but like I talked about in my scans, looking at the data and making sure that, the right things are happening are important. Okay, now there are a few new things that we're going to be offering at our clinic, and going to kind of run through those now. The first one is what it's called Invisired. It's a new treatment offering that is now available, and it's going to be an add-on benefit to every one of our medication patients. So if you're currently on semaglutide or tirzepatide, every single month you're going to be credited with a session on the Invisired. It's normally it's $125 for a single treatment, and so you'll get that as an added benefit. For those that have been on the medicine for a while, we're going to backdate that, and so you'll get full credit from the moment you started. But what it is it's a dual light, both red light and infrared light method of treatment to help reduce fat, tighten up the skin, and really help people lose inches. And so one of the unique things about this is, unlike a bunch of other red light products out there, this one is one of the only ones that is FDA approved. And it's also approved by the IRB, which is the Institutional Review Board, which is governed by the FDA. And so in the research studies that they did and were approved by the FDA, they did a double-blind study. And what they did was, over 3 weeks, 3 treatments per week, so it was 9 treatments per patient. They had 800 patients go through the trial. There was no modification to their diet or exercise, so patients were told, hey, just eat and operate like you normally do. And in that time, on average, between those 800 patients, they'd all lost about 1.75% of their body fat. And for each of them, for each treatment, they lost about a ½ pound of weight. Each treatment, the way that the laser activates the fat cells, burns about 1,700 calories, which is pretty amazing. But over that time period, over those 3 weeks, the average inches lost for each patient was just over 10 inches. And for the 800 patients, they saw a success rate of 100%, which was kind of, outstanding. And so we're going to introduce this as a service. As an existing patient of ours, you're going to get credit to do these treatments. And as you go through this, they're paddles that get put on the body. You relax. We have music up there. We have iPad stands that if you want to, watch a show or something like that. But in addition to helping to burn the fat and reduce your inches, I don't have the full list of the before and afters, but the effects it has on, especially for skin tightening, which a lot of people will need after they lose a lot of weight, for cellulite, for targeting weight loss in individual places, it's pretty amazing. And so, like we've done with all the products that we offer at our clinic, we only offer ones that are approved by the FDA, and that myself, my wife, and others that we trust have gone through it and seen that it's worked ourselves. I don't want to offer something that I don't believe in, stand behind. And so what we have here is, I did a treatment. And so one of the things that we used is our body scanner to make sure that there's no what I call funny business. I'm always distrustful of when you see people do certain programs, they use the tape measure to take somebody's measurements, they do a treatment, and then they use the tape measure again. I'm in the back of my mind, maybe I'm just a distrustful person. I'm always thinking, oh, they're pulling that just a little bit tighter so that they can show that there was a change. We use the 3D laser body scanner so that there's no human involved. It's just getting the measurements by the computer. And so what you can see here on this one is, on August 22nd, I did a body scan at 8 in the morning. I then went and did the infrared or Invisired treatment, and then came back and did a second body scan. And what you can see is over different parts of my body, there was an actual change. There was 0.2 inches lost here, half an inch lost at the high part of my hip. At the top of my waist, this was one that was 0.9 inches, and then in the middle of my waist was about 0.4 inches. And so in that one treatment, between those 4 different measurements, I'd lost 2 inches. Like, oh, okay, this is interesting. It was encouraging. I then went ahead and did a series of 3 treatments. And so these 3 treatments were on August 22nd, August 25th, and August 28th. And again, looking at those 4 measurement areas, I'd lost 1.1 inches off the lower part of my waist. It was 0.8 inches off the high part of my hip. The narrow part of my waist, it was actually almost 2 inches. It was 1.9. And then off the stomach, my middle of my waist was 1.3 inches, for just over 5 inches lost in total over those 3 treatments. And so where I saw the research data that said that, over 9 treatments on average, patients lost about 10 inches, I was seeing, 5 inches in my first 3 treatments. And so it's encouraging. We felt like, definitely it's not smoke and mirrors. This was kind of real. And so then we had, I did one more scan just the other day on the 23rd, and you can see I had done the first scan at 2:11 in the afternoon, went and did my treatment, and about an hour later came and did my second scan, and across my chest, this was 0.8 inches, and it's not always going down. I actually gained 0.2 inches off the bottom part of my hip. But across my waist, my stomach area, there was a fairly big drop there, and also across the lower part of my waist. And so it was 3.5 inches. And so wanted just to see if we came back to this, if it would still show some progress, and it did. The last thing I'll call out is we also had Jennifer jump on this. So back on August 22nd, she did her first treatment. So her first scan was at 7:55 in the morning. She did her treatment. At 8:30, she came and did her second scan, and you can see that, off her hip, that was 0.4 inches loss. Off the high part of her hip was 0.8 inches, and then off the lower part of her waist was 0.3 inches. So in that one treatment, she had lost an inch and a half. These treatment packages we're going to offer as a separate service to patients that, I was going to say coming off the street, that doesn't sound right, but for patients who need to come in and request treatment. Some of the patients that we'll see that want to get this treatment don't qualify for the GLP-1 medications because their BMI is below 27, which is kind of the cutoff. And so there's a method for them to actually lose weight, lose inches, without being on the medication itself. Other people we know might be some of our existing patients that are on some of the GLP-1 medications, but they might have spots of their body where they want targeted fat loss, and that's where these treatments will really help. And so, just going to show here what some of the package pricing is looking to be. We have a 30-day program, a 60-day program. We have a program that's targeted just at the aesthetics, where you can help with the cellulite, the contouring, with stretch marks. And then for some that just want to see if this kind of, to put their foot into it, there's a 2-week package. But the one thing I wanted to call out is for every one of our medication patients, we are going to give a free treatment every single month. That's a $125 value to each one of our patients, so that they can, take advantage of this and kind of benefit. The last thing I'll call out is a new product that we're offering. Some of you knew about this from last month when we kind of gave a preview, but these are NAD injections. NAD injections are kind of taking off. They're being, used by a lot of the celebs and kind of, the rich and famous, because they're really beneficial in helping to prevent aging. They do a lot to repair our cells and promote, a better youthful experience. They do a lot to help with brain fog, for mental clarity, for energy. And so I saw this post back in August, and I realized that for a lot of these people that they're talking about, they had gotten onto the semaglutide, tirzepatide bandwagon a couple years ago before the rest of us even heard about it. Now they've moved on to this other treatment, this NAD treatment, and we can start to get people involved in it, and it's everything from helping with aging to improving your metabolism. It helps with your immunity, longevity, and so we're going to make this available. Now we've got the clearance from Dr. Vicic. There's a separate exam that you have to go through, but it benefits you in all these ways. And like I like to do whenever we introduce a new product, we try to do it at a reasonable cost. We show here that two of the largest online providers that do provide this, their price is $3.95 for the 5 milliliter, 1,000 milligram from Ageless, and from Live Natural it's $4.50. We're offering it at $2.99. And so if this is something that you're interested in, give me a call or shoot me a message. We'd love to have you do it. I've been using it for the last couple months. Definitely feel a difference in my energy levels, my brain. They call it brain fog. It's just the clarity of being able to focus a lot more. I won't know if it has kind of the effects on my age, but I definitely feel more vitality, if that's a way of saying it. And then we kind of ended it into open discussions where we had really great conversations around many different things about how we're experiencing the medications, some of the shared side effects that they should talk about. Hey, do any of you have some skin sensitivity? A couple patients raised their hand, and we talked about some solutions for that. It is something that can come up. We talked about a lot of commonalities. I liked one patient who had mentioned, she's got a house full of candy right now to get ready for Halloween, but she hasn't been tempted once to open that bag and eat some ahead of time, which compared to previous years, she would have been dipping in there because the candy was in the house. And, there are a lot of people that kind of put up their hand that said, for them on the medication, kind of that sweet tooth, that need to eat something sweet, it's just kind of been, that switch has been turned off. And there were a lot of head nodding. So if I'll close with one thing. We did give every participant who showed up for the meeting a couple of gifts. And I only mention that as encouragement for those who might be thinking about coming to future meetings. Everybody got an aluminum or a high-end water bottle. We all love to have our Stanleys, and so we made sure that everybody got one to take home with them, because of the three things that we hear most often from our patients who've been the most successful, the number one that we hear is they get plenty of water. And so, fluids is really important. Two, they prioritize protein as part of their calorie intake. And three, they get some sort of activity. It's whether it's, for some getting to the gym, but for others, it's just 3 to 5 minutes of, maybe walking or something along those lines. It doesn't have to be signing up to do a marathon or becoming Mr. Olympia or something like that. Just water, protein, and activity, and we see patients doing really, really well. The other thing that we provided was additional credits for those who showed up for the Invisared treatments. And so, we'll get scheduled. It probably won't be the last Thursday of the month in November for our group meeting because that's Halloween. That's Thanksgiving. But we'll get that scheduled soon and hope that we can see you then. Thanks a lot.